Ladies and gentlemen, our esteemed viewers, welcome to yet another episode of My Two Cents, where we keep engaging and continue talking, because we always say that the moment we stop talking, that is the moment that we start fighting. Today, I want to send an open letter to President Uhuru Kenyatta, the President of the Republic of Kenya. And this is what we are saying: that Mr. President, the 2 terms in office have been marred by a lot of corruption, starting from the Eurobond scandal, coming next to the Afia House corruption scandal. We had the NYS scandal episode 1. Of course, not forgetting the scandal that marred the Youth Enterprise Development Fund. And coming to this other term of President Kenyatta in office, already less than a year down the line, we already have the NYS scandal episode 2. We have the scandal surrounding the National Cereals and Produce Board. We have the pipeline scandal, among others. This is not good for his term. This thing is not sorted out in time, then it is unfortunate that his big 4 agenda that he has for the country for this second term will not be able to bear fruit. The agenda in housing, the agenda of healthcare, the agenda of infrastructure, and food availability will not be able to go far if corruption remains as it is today. And therefore, I want to ask the President Uhuru Kenyatta that yes, it is good, and all Kenyans can see that there is goodwill within the presidency to fight corruption. Everyone can be able to see that the president is outright and he is ready to ensure that this corruption problem comes to an end in the country. But this is the problem that I have with the solutions that are being offered by President Uhuru Kenyatta. One, I want to ask the president that for us to be able to solve the problem of corruption, he must do 3 things. And these things are: 1, the president should stop preparing people before convicting. Telling the people what he wants to do doesn't help. For example, the president went ahead to tell us that he will be auditing and vetting all the procurement officers. In my understanding and my estimation, it would be better that the president goes ahead to do it without first of all informing the public. Informing the public gets them prepared, and therefore it leaves very little for him to achieve. Second, and that is why even you saw that there was even a court process, and there was a court order to first of all stop the process and such kind of a thing. 2, the president has come up with the lifestyle audit, which is something that is not so bad for the country. Although in my estimation, I am a believer of the government should be able to, first of all, it should be able to have emphasis on ensuring that public money is not lost than looking for it after it is lost. But all said and done, the audit is okay. But the problem with the audit is that the president has come out to prepare people and tell them that we are going to have an audit before it is done. And when he does that, as it stands now, the audit has already been taken into a political atmosphere. And people have already played politics with it in a manner that it's going to be very hard for the president to achieve anything reasonable with the lifestyle audit. Because as it stands now, that is a political affair. And therefore, the president ought to act without informing the public. And number 2, for the president to succeed in this, the president needs to empower the office of the DPP. And this he needs to do by ensuring that the office of the DPP has more funds so that it can fight this menace better. It is okay, and all Kenyans can be able to see that the new director of public prosecutions is a hands-on director and is a man who is able to see some little changes achieved in that office. But the biggest problem is that the office is not as empowered, especially financially, as it should be. And that is why it's going to be very difficult for the DPP to work, because even when it comes to lawyers, the offenders, the corruption perpetrators who have the money that is stolen from public coffers have enough money to hire experienced lawyers. The office of the DPP is using junior lawyers. So it is going to be very difficult for the DPP to come out smart, to come out and win these cases, and yet the people who have already perpetrated, the perpetrators of the crime, have better experienced lawyers than he has. Therefore, this office should be empowered more than it can afford the lawyers that are good enough for the country. And number 3, the president should stick to the rule of law. This will help the president not just in short term, but in long term. The Kenyan constitution is very good. And for every crime, there is a legal procedure that should be done. If only the president ensures that the country upholds the rule of law, then this corruption will be a thing of the past. We have seen countries like South Africa, where the president has been prosecuted. We have seen countries like Brazil, where the immediate former president of Brazil has been jailed because of corruption and money laundering. We have seen the president of South Korea go in for a jail term of 24 years because he could not account for the money that got into his account during the campaign period. And this has been achieved in all these countries because of the rule of law. You go to countries like Singapore, and you find that it's very difficult for people to be able to do wrong things for the country, basically because of the rule of law. President Uhuru Kenyatta has allowed people to mess up with the rule of law. Let him be able to ensure that the rule of law is followed and followed to the latter. President Uhuru Kenyatta should stop reacting to situations and act. He should not react as things come. He should act in a manner to put systems right so that not just for today, but even for the future, these things will not keep occurring and reoccurring again and again. That is our humble submission, and we feel that if President Uhuru Kenyatta can be able to take that to the bank and be able to use those 3 approaches to fighting corruption, then he will have a legacy to leave behind. As it stands now, Kenyans would better remember Uhuru Kenyatta for fighting corruption than for the Big 4 agenda. But that is our 2 cents. You might have yours.